Imagine waking up one morning and the sun doesn't rise, the sky is murky, the air is thick with a strange, choking fog. Days pass, weeks, months, still no sunlight, crops fail, people starve, empires weaken, panic spreads, and across continents, one terrifying phrase echoes, the sun has vanished. Welcome to the year 536 AD, a time so catastrophic that modern historians and scientists now call it the worst year in human history. But what exactly happened? What could have caused such global chaos over 1,500 years ago? And how does this mysterious event still impact our world today? This is Undercover History Updates, where we uncover history's darkest secrets. Buckle up, this is one hell of a ride into the forgotten disaster that changed the course of human civilization. The records begin with fear and confusion. Byzantine historian Procopius wrote, "The sun gave forth its light without brightness, like the moon. It seemed exceedingly like the sun in eclipse." This wasn't poetry, this was apocalypse. Across Europe, the Middle East, and Asia, eyewitnesses described a mysterious fog that dimmed the sun by day and blocked the stars by night. The darkness lasted for 18 months. During that time, summer never came. Temperatures dropped by as much as 2.5 to 3 degrees Celsius, making 536 AD the coldest decade in over 2,000 years. Snow fell in China during the summer. Crops failed in Ireland, sparking famine. People starved in the Eastern Roman Empire, and plague spread like wildfire. This wasn't just bad weather. This was something else entirely, something from the earth or above it. For centuries, the cause of this darkness was unknown, but thanks to modern science, we now have answers. Clues were hidden deep in the Greenland ice core samples and tree rings across Europe and North America. Around the year 536, ice layers showed a sudden spike in volcanic ash and sulfuric acid markers of a massive volcanic eruption. But where did it come from? In 2018, scientists pinpointed the likely culprit, a cataclysmic eruption, possibly from Iceland or North America, so large it hurled ash and aerosols into the stratosphere, blocking sunlight across the globe. But that wasn't the end. In 540 and 547 AD, two more massive eruptions followed. This wasn't a one-off disaster, this was a chain reaction of volcanic hell. The eruption or eruptions triggered more than just darkness and cold. It caused the collapse of agriculture, economic systems, and even entire empires. In Europe, crops failed for multiple years. Hunger led to social unrest and mass migrations. In Asia, droughts and famines devastated kingdoms, particularly in China and Korea. In the Middle East, instability weakened borders and trade. In Mesoamerica, evidence suggests simultaneous climate disruption, hinting that no part of the earth was spared. To make things worse, in 541 AD, the plague of Justinian struck the Eastern Roman Empire. Thought to be an early form of bubonic plague, it wiped out up to 50 million people, almost half the population of Europe at the time. The deadly combo of climate catastrophe, disease, famine plunged the world into what historians now call the first true dark age. Let's take a closer look at what 536 AD actually did to the world. Rome, already fragile, was shattered. The Western Roman Empire had fallen decades earlier, but this disaster nearly killed its eastern half. The Aksumite Empire in Africa, a rising power, suddenly collapsed around this period. In Persia, the Sassanid Empire weakened, paving the way for future invasions. In India, kingdoms fragmented due to crop failures and changing monsoon patterns. The Maya experienced sudden population declines. It was as if the earth pressed pause on human progress for an entire generation. Why was 536 the worst year? Because it wasn't just one disaster, it was a perfect storm of global darkness, mass starvation, political chaos, and deadly pandemics. Civilization itself was put on hold, and the scariest part, no one knew why it was happening. Imagine being a farmer in Ireland or a monk in Constantinople. The skies don't clear, crops die, people whisper that the gods are angry or that the end times have come. It wasn't just the climate, it was psychological terror. The sun, the most reliable force in the sky, was gone. It would take over a century for the world to recover, but recover it did. By the late 600s, after the volcanic ash had finally cleared and the plague subsided, a new era of civilization began. In Europe, this led to the Carolingian Renaissance. In the Middle East, the Islamic Golden Age took shape. In Asia, new dynasties rose and trade returned. 536 was a catastrophe, but it also marked the start of a new chapter. Could it happen again? Yes, and that's the chilling truth. The Earth still holds supervolcanoes like Yellowstone, Toba, and Campi Flegrei, each capable of repeating the disaster of 536 or worse. In 1815, Mount Tambora exploded in Indonesia, triggering the year without a summer in 1816. Crops failed, snow fell in June, and people died. That's the closest we've come in modern times to a 536 level catastrophe. What would happen if something like that occurred today with 8 billion people depending on global trade and food supply chains? Let that sink in. The year 536 wasn't just a year, it was a global trauma, a time when the sky betrayed us and humanity teetered on the edge of extinction. And yet, somehow, we survived. The story of 536 is more than a historical footnote. It's a reminder of our planet's awesome, terrifying power and of the thin thread on which civilization hangs. So the next time you look up at a clear blue sky, remember there was once a time when the sun forgot to rise. You've been watching Undercover History Updates. If you found this episode gripping, hit like, subscribe, and ring the notification bell for more tales from the edge of forgotten history. See you in the next mystery.